What's going on, everyone? My name's Cruel, and today we're going to talk about the top 10 most difficult Pokemon recruits in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time. My name's Cruel, and for those of you that don't know me, I am the current world record holder for the Recruit Them All speedrun for both with Wondermail and no Wondermail in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time. I've done a number of these runs, and thus I should have a decent idea of what I'm talking about. That said, this list is just a list of recruits that came to mind. There's probably some difficult recruits that I'm completely going to be forgetting about, but all that being said, I'm just going to dive right into it. Number 10. So starting off this list is going to be Unknown. Now Unknown is a bit of an odd one on this list because Unknown is not really that difficult a recruit in and of itself. The reason I decided to include Unknown in the list is that every single Unknown is counted separately within the game's code. And as a recruit, if you're doing a Recruit Them All, every single Unknown, every form needs to be obtained. This is true for all Pokemon that have multiple forms, like Shellos and Wormadam, but this is especially true for Unknown, meaning there will be a bunch of different Unknowns to look for as you go through this. Now the thing is, every floor can only spawn so many different Pokemon, so at the start of every floor you're going to be looking to see, is the Unknown that you want on that floor, and if so, you're going to have to try to hunt it down. Now additionally, this is a good point to start talking about the recruitment rates. The recruitment rate of Pokemon isn't really set. Though every Pokemon has a static recruitment chance, the odds actually change depending on which Pokemon are not on that floor. So for example, in Aegis Cave, every Unknown can spawn on every floor, but there will only be so many. And let's say you have Unknown E that you're going to, or no, let's take a better example. Let's say you're on the first floor and you're looking for Unknown D. Now, odds are that you're not going to find that normally, because Unknown D is only 0.64%, but if Unknown C is missing on the list, those odds go up to nearly 30%. So constantly you'll be looking at the list to see whether you can find the right Unknown or not. This can be quite daunting, because there's only so much room to look for, and if you can't find them, they're sometimes really difficult to get a hold of, because many of the Unknowns are under a single percent to spawn on any given floor if they're there, unless specific other Unknowns are missing. Number 9. Next on our list is going to be Pichu. Now Pichu is a bit of an oddball in this list as well, because Pichu itself doesn't really seem like it'd be a very difficult Pokemon to capture, or to recruit, rather. The reason we include Pichu on our list is mainly just because of the way that you have to get it. Pichu spawns in Amp Plains, but the thing with Amp Plains is it doesn't actually spawn there until you've cleared the game all the way up to the graduation. After that, Pichu, as well as Pikachu and a few others, will start spawning in Amp Plains. Now the reason Pichu is actually in this list is mainly because of its recruitment rate, or rather its spawn rate. Pichu will only start spawning about 2.57% of the time at best, which is on floor 9 of Amp Plains. That means that in order to even find a single Pichu, you need to spawn in about 40 or so different Pokemon, and the odds really only go down from there. Pichu starts spawning on floor 9, and then from there it goes down to 2.22% on floor 10, and 2% or even lower in the later floors. This means that you have to look around a lot, and considering the floors in Amp Plains are generally very big, it often means you are forced into looking for multiple floors just to even find a Pichu. And then when you find it, you still have to manage to recruit it. In order to make this job a little bit easier on us, we use a Lantern with an ability that causes him to spawn a new Pokemon every single time the Lantern gets hit. But it's always a bit of a trade-off, because, you still need to consider hunger, you still need to consider status effects, and more importantly, you need to consider the fact that if you take too long, you can get growled, which makes the situation even worse because you're barely killing anything along the way. Yeah, Pichu, number 9, mainly because it is incredibly rare as a spawn, and you cannot get it by sheer luck in your earlier attempts when you're here anyway. You cannot get it until you are actually done with the main storyline and the post-game, and that's when you can actually attempt to get it. In number 8, we have Lunatone. Lunatone is the first of a few Pokemon that you will find in the same area here, specifically the Spatial Rift. The Spatial Rift is known to hold a bunch of Pokemon that are limited, or that can really only be recruited in this place. These are usually Pokemon that you'll be able to see in some of the dungeons that you can't actually recruit, specifically Temporal Tower. Lunatone is one of the harder ones to get because it really only starts spawning until very late into the dungeon. Lunatone itself only spawns in the later floors of this place, and even when you do get the chance to recruit it there, the odds of actually finding one is really, really low. Just like you had the issue with Pichu earlier. This means that just like with Pichu, we're gonna have to go deep into a dungeon and then just kind of hope that we end up seeing one. Now, the thing that makes Lunatone so annoying here is that even at the very highest of odds, it's only a 1.8% spawn. And to make matters worse, it is the deepest into the dungeon of any of the Pokemon in Spatial Rift, as it only starts spawning on the 6th floor of the second half. This means you only have 4 different floors where it even spawns, and only on the last floor are the odds 1.8%, on the others it's 1.77%. This means you're closing in on a little over 50 Pokemon you need to spawn to even see a single Lunatone, let alone actually recruit it. And yeah, that's why we added it to number 8 here. It is such a rare Pokemon, making it really annoying to find. For number 7, we have one that I specifically added because of the no Wondermail category, and that is Abomasnow. Abomasnow really isn't that difficult to get in with Wondermail, but the main reason it makes it so difficult is Abomasnow usually only appears in the Hidden Land. Now, in the Hidden Land, you're forbidden from recruiting, therefore you can never get it from there. The other way to get Abomasnow is by evolving a Snover, and that's generally how we have to go about it. Snover can be found at level 15 later on in several dungeons, specifically like Kravis Cave. In Kravis Cave, it has a 1.28% spawn chance, which can greatly increase if Empoleon isn't there, so you can get it to like about 10%. So yeah, what gives? Well, the thing is, Snover is only level 15, and it evolves into Abomasnow at level 40. The way to evolve it would be to either level it, or feed it a bunch of golden seeds. Now, in No Wondermail, golden seeds are quite rare. But the reason we still have to use all of them on Abomasnow is because every time you bring an Abomasnow with you, it's going to start to hail. Due to the ability that both Snover and Abomasnow have, you're always going to be in an environment with hail, making it incredibly difficult to go around and quickly level it. As a result, we basically always end up having to level it using a variety of like golden seeds and whatnot, and getting those is just generally difficult. And that's why I added Abomasnow as a number 7. This will also be the only one that's really difficult specifically because of no Wondermail. All of the other ones are really difficult even if you do end up giving yourself a bunch of Wondermail items. For number 6, we have Bronzor. We're back with the Spatial Rift once again, and that really just goes to show how bad Spatial Rift is. This will be the second of 3 Pokemon that we're going to be talking about that is exclusive to Spatial Rift. This time around, we actually don't necessarily recruit Bronzor in this dungeon, because Bronzor itself isn't recruitable anywhere, but Bronzor is. Bronzor is another very rare spawn that we can only obtain here in the Spatial Rift, and just like Lunatone, its spawn chances are ridiculously low. Bronzor is at best around like 1.8% to spawn, I believe. The recruitment rate, like Bronzor starts spawning at floor 7 with a 1.48%, and that goes up ever so slightly, tipping the like 2-ish% around floor 10. The thing with Bronzor though is, if you actually want to recruit them all, you need 2 of them, and one of them then needs to be leveled a bunch in order to evolve into Bronzong. You obtain Bronzor at level 7, which means you need to be doing a lot of grinding in order to actually then still evolve it into a Bronzong. Now luckily, contrary to the Snover Abomasnow from before, here you don't have any ability to hinder you, so it isn't as difficult, but it still makes it a really tedious Pokemon, because it's both hard to get and then needs to be grinded a bunch. And that's why we added Bronzong for number 6 on this list. Number 5. Okay, and with that, we are in the top half of our list, and from here on, we're really getting into the thick of things. Next up on our list is Kyogre, and Kyogre will be the first of 2 legendaries to make it to this list. Most legendaries in Pokémon Mystery Dungeon aren't too difficult to obtain, and neither is Kyogre really. Kyogre spawns on floor 50 of the Bottomless Sea. But here's the catch. Every time you get to floor 50, you have a flat 50% chance to actually recruit Kyogre. You only get 1 chance. If you don't get it, you'll have to redo the entire dungeon. That means that if you miss out on the 50%, you just miss that 1 coin flip, you have to redo all 50 floors of the Bottomless Sea in order to get there. Luckily, the Bottomless Sea floors are generally not very long, but it does make Kyogre easily one of the most tedious ones to do this for. We have one fortunate little thing we can do, at least in the with Wondermail though, and that's the Fighting Gem. See, there's an item in the game called the Fighting Gem, and there are some other variants to it as well. Essentially what it means is that a fighting type Pokemon, when moving through the dungeon, if there's no weather, will move at double the speed. Additionally, if you hold a weather band, it doesn't even matter if there is weather at all. You'll move at double speed all the time. We use this in order to get through this dungeon so much faster, which makes Kyogre really not as bad, especially because you can kind of stall out most enemies since you have double movement anyway. But it's still 50 floors to cover, which is still time consuming, and that's why I added Kyogre as the first of the legendaries on this list. Number 4 on our list is the only one of the Pokemon that we can actually get on multiple different occasions, and that's Mylantic. Mylantic spawns in Lake Afar, and Lake Afar is notorious for having a lot of rare Pokemon that you need to capture if you're doing a Recruit Them All. It has, for example, Squirtle at 2.7%, Slowpoke, Goldeen, Magikarp, Mudkip, Corphish, and Phoebus all at 2.7% spawn rate. The reason I added Mylantic specifically is that in order to get the Mylantic, you either have to capture a second Phoebus, and Phoebus already being such a rare Pokemon makes that rather difficult, or you can actually go very deep into the dungeon and capture Mylantic directly. Because Mylantic does actually spawn in Lake Afar, but it doesn't until floor 21, and it then has a 1.2% spawn rate, 1.23% to be precise, making it easily the rarest Pokemon on this list in terms of actual spawn chance. Generally speaking, it's faster to go for 2 Phoebuses, hunt down a Beauty Scarf, and then evolve it that way, rather than actually going all the way until floor 21 to try and find one. That said, there are some other Pokemon that start spawning around floor 21 that actually make it somewhat worth to at least go there and recruit a few things, and you kinda just have to hope to get lucky. Pokemon like Blastoise, Poliwrath, Vaporeon, Feraligatr, they're all starting that floor. So, very rare Pokemon, but a very cool one to get all the same. Yeah, its low recruit rate is really what makes Mylantic right here, number 4. Okay, this is Spatial Rift for the last time, for realsies, but we have to talk about Porygon. On number 3, we've got Porygon Z. Now, Porygon is another one of those Pokemon that is exclusively recruitable in the Spatial Rift. Porygon, Porygon 2, and Porygon Z all spawn in Temporal Tower, but you can't actually recruit any of them there. That means, in order to get them, you have to get 3 Porygons from the Spatial Rift. They start spawning around floor 3 at a 1.6% rate, although the rate does go up a bit. On floor 5, they have a 2.27% spawn rate, making them one of the lower spawns in the game, especially when you consider that you need 3 of them. Now, even after getting the Porygon for Porygon Z, you're still stuck with the fact that you need to evolve it, which requires 2 link cables, an upgrade, and a dubious disc, making it a lot of items to hunt down in other dungeons if you're doing a no Wondermail version, because they only have a set spawn rate in Caclon shops in certain dungeons. All of the items in and of itself really aren't that rare, but combined with the really low spawn rate that Porygon has, makes it a really annoying Pokemon to have to get. In the with Wondermail version, if you do actually use Wondermail, it's a little bit less bad because you can spawn in the link cables and the upgrade and dubious disc, but it still means you have to collect not 1, not 2, but 3 Porygons. And that is why it's one of the highest Pokemon on this list, as it's just that annoying to get. And that brings us to number 2. Now, number 2 probably doesn't come as much of a surprise. It's Rayquaza. Rayquaza kind of has the same system for it as Kyogre does, where it's a flat 50% as soon as you fight it. That said, the reason that I put Rayquaza this much higher on the list is that the dungeon is significantly longer than it is with Kyogre. The dungeon is still 50 floors, just like with Kyogre, but the floors are enormous. Having to redo this dungeon takes, even if you do it well, easily half an hour. And that's if things go well. There is so many things that can just screw you up in this dungeon, and having to redo 50 floors for that one recruit just makes it one of the most tedious Pokemon to get. On the upside, it is actually 50%, so chances are that the first time you see Rayquaza, you're going to get it right away. And if that happens, it's really not so bad. But if you get unlucky, you could miss it 4, 5, or 6 times and lose hours just trying to get this one Pokemon. And that makes Rayquaza easily one of the worst Pokemon in the game to recruit. But it's not the worst. Can you guess what is? And with that, we get to number 1. Now, I imagine number 1 doesn't come as a surprise to anyone, but it's Caclon. Caclon is notorious for being the most difficult Pokemon to recruit by its sheer recruitment chance. Finding it really isn't that difficult. Caclon shops are very common in Mount Horn, but in order to actually recruit it, you have to go through a lot. Caclon can only be recruited at max recruit rate. That's to say, you need a Pokemon with the Fast Friend ability, which boosts your chances by 5%, at level 99 or higher in order to even get the max recruit boost, and having the Golden Mask equipped, and all of that gives you 0.1%. It is a 0.1% chance to actually be recruited, which means you'd need to kill 1,000 Cacleons to get one. Now, luckily, there are a few ways we can actually make this quite a bit easier. There's a bunch of different strategies that you can use in order to make this fight doable, but here's how we go about it. At some point in the while playing through the game, I'm going to look for a mobile orb. The mobile orb allows you to get into the wall and walk through it as much as you want. As long as you're on that floor, you can walk through walls. This in and of itself makes it so that Caclon can't actually hit you, because Caclon, let's just say he hurts. Caclon does a ton of damage, and if you're not careful, it's going to be very difficult to get out of. Another thing we use here is we're going to use a sunny orb in order to make it sure that it's sunny. We make sure to have solar beam, because solar beam actually does a ton of damage to Caclon, basically making it guaranteed to be a one-shot after you've eaten a Violent Seed. The Violent Seed buffs your attack and special attack high enough to actually be able to deal enough damage to even, reliably defeat Caclon. Combined with moves like White Slash, Tackle, Solar Beam, and Razor Leaf, you actually have a decent chance of killing it. Now, the advantage of White Slash is even though it doesn't kill, it's usually a two-shot, and you can hit 3 Cacleons at once, making it fairly reliable. Razor Leaf doesn't actually kill normally, but once you get into overgrowth range, which is like under 20% of your health, you actually get the boosted from that, and that'll usually make the Caclon a one-shot as well. Along with that, we bring a bunch of Oron Berries, Max Elixirs, a Pure Seed to get out, and an Escape Orb, and with that, you just kind of go in and hope for the best. I've gotten Caclon as fast as the 99th attempt, and I've seen Caclon take a couple thousand attempts. There have been runners who spent dozens, and I'm not kidding, dozens of attempts on a floor to do this. Every floor has a 1,000 turn, basically a 1,000 turn cap, meaning that if you take more than 1,000 turns on a single floor, the game will throw you out. Which means not only do you have to set up this entire thing, but even when you only have 1,000 steps from the moment you enter the floor in order to actually recruit the Caclon. This makes Caclon incredibly painful, and there have been runners who've taken 10 or more hours to try and capture one. This is why Caclon is easily the most difficult recruit in Pokémon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Time. There we have it! The top 10 most difficult recruits in Pokémon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Time. We've got Unknown, Pichu, Lunatone, Abomasnow, Bronzor, Kyogre, Mylantic, Porygon Z, Rayquaza, and Caclon. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you for joining me through this journey of the most difficult recruits. All of these Recruit Them Alls have been done live on Twitch, link in the description. So if you're ever interested in seeing more of these sort of runs, be sure to check that out. All of the footage from the Recruit Them All can actually be found there, and all of the clips that you saw throughout this video were from that Recruit Them All. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to leave a like, and consider subscribing to the channel. I'm planning on uploading a variety of both really crazy runs, just in full as I've done them on Twitch, as well as an occasional video like this, where we just analyze some bits and pieces of some of these crazy runs. Anyway, with all that out of the way, my name's been Cruel, thank you guys for joining me, and have a great day.